Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So it looks like we're headed into another Sunday undermanned. We have a ton of people not practicing for 2 days in a row in any capacity, so that is not a good sign. We'll run through the list. So Justice Hill, Odell Beckham Jr., Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, Odafe Owe, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, all are not practicing at all. Jadeveon Clowney missed practice yesterday for an illness. He did return today, so that's good news. He should be fine. And there's a chance I'd say Odell's okay. We'll see tomorrow for sure. I feel like he'd have to get at least a limited session in, or he's most likely going to be out this week. But I still think there's some hope that maybe Odell can go, and possibly Justice Hill. Like I said, we'll see tomorrow for sure. If they're not practicing at all tomorrow as well, then I definitely think they're out. But I still think Justice Hill and maybe Odell have a chance to go this Sunday just because they're considered day-to-day. But Ronnie Stanley, Linderbaum, Owe, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, they're most likely out. I know it's not official, but we can read into who's practicing, who's not practicing, especially for the guys that have been out for a little bit, like Marlon Humphrey or Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams is obvious, but Marlon Humphrey hasn't practiced in a long time, so there's no way they're going to just let him play. It's not happening. He's definitely got to get some limited practices in. And same with Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum. They're considered week to week, but when they're not practicing in any capacity throughout the week, it's just so unlikely that they'd play. So we're going to have to go against a stout Colts defensive front, DeForest Buckner. So we're going to have our challenges again in the middle of the line, but I have more confidence after last week. I mean, the way Mustipher and Zeitler and Simpson handled Reeder and the interior of the Bengals defensive line, I have some confidence. I think that once again, though, that's our weakness. You know, their interior rush against our interior offensive line. So we'll see if anyone practices tomorrow, but we're heading into Sunday without a lot of guys, without a lot of key players. Once again, it's obviously just a weekly thing at this point. I do have more confidence. You know, I mean, the Colts are also undermanned. Gardner Minshew's most likely going to be the starter. Anthony Richardson's still in concussion protocol. Their center, Ryan Kelly's in concussion protocol. We'll see what happens there, but if they're still in concussion protocol and we're heading into Friday, most likely those guys aren't playing either. So the Colts are without their starting quarterback and starting center at least. There's a couple more guys on the injury report. We'll see what happens with that as well, but they're not going to have Anthony Richardson. And Gardner Minshew is not a bad player, but presents a completely different style, you know, and I don't think that they're going to have a lot of success running the ball on us. So, and you lose the playmaking ability of Anthony Richardson because that would be something that we would fear. I don't fear him, you know, passing all over us right now. I think that Gardner Minshew may have an advantage in the pass game compared to Anthony Richardson, but Anthony Richardson can make a lot of things happen. I mean, he's a supreme elite athlete and can do some damage with his feet, especially when the play breaks down, and that's something that's hard to game plan for. So they're most likely not going to have that. So it makes them kind of one-dimensional. I think that all we got to do really is contain the Colts pass offense, which I don't think is a daunting task, especially after just facing the Bengals. I think that we have a great chance to be able to do that, but we have a ton of guys out. Our Darius Washington obviously went to IR. We made a video on that yesterday. So I don't know if we see Arthur Mollett in the game more or at all. He hasn't been active yet. So not sure, but we're pretty banged up. Nothing's long-term, and that's what's keeping me optimistic about all this. You know, we have a favorable schedule, I'd say. I know the division games in the coming weeks, the Browns and the Steelers, are never easy, but they don't look great right now. The Browns just lost Nick Chubb. The Steelers are also one-dimensional. I think that we have a favorable schedule to be able to let some of these guys come back, but it's not ideal. It's definitely not ideal. We'd like to keep a lot more guys healthy, and there's a lot of lingering things, and it's very hard to get healthy again in the midst of a football season. So once again, we're battling this injury bug, but I think we can get through it. We officially signed Kenyon Drake yesterday, so we're going to be adding him to the running back mix. I think that that's because Justice Hill's banged up, and they probably don't love what they're seeing from Melvin Gordon. He hasn't played a ton. And they're different runners. You know, Kenyon Drake is more similar to what a Justice Hill brings. Not as elusive by any means. He's not as explosive anymore, but similar style. Melvin Gordon's kind of a power guy now. He lost his elusiveness and his speed. So different runners. We don't get Keaton Mitchell or even have the chance to get Keaton Mitchell back until at least week 5. And then maybe he needs a week of practice. So he might not be thrown in, till week 6 or so. I'm not sure. So it makes sense to add it back right now. Kenyon Drake's already familiar with this run game, with this offense, and he had some great games last year. He really contributed for this team. I think he had 500 rushing yards. I remember that Giants game really stood out. He had over 100 yards rushing. So I don't mind adding him to the mix, and I really think this is just a product of Justice Hill's not completely healthy now. I'm not sure if he's going to play Sunday or not, but he's banged up. He has turf toe, and he's considered day-to-day. But we know, if you've watched sports, turf toe lingers. Turf toe is something that Justice Hill's going to have to deal with for the rest of the season. That's not going to go away unless you just completely rest it for a while. So most likely, Kenyon Drake's signing is just the running back carousel again. Here we go. We're gonna have a lot of running backs in and out. But I think this run game can survive. Our offensive line blocks so well in the run game. Our run scheme is great, and I think you can plug a lot of solid guys into this scheme and they'll have success. So I don't expect our run game to struggle or disappear. I think that we have more than enough talent. We have a great blocking scheme. The offensive line executes it really well, and now we have the threat of the pass game, which only opens up the run game even more, and vice versa. When we're running well, it opens the pass game even more, and we have a lot of passing weapons. I was watching some film on the Bengals-Ravens game, and there were a lot of other options in the pass game that were open, that Lamar didn't go to. And that's just a testament to Todd Monken and the receiver talent that we have now. Lamar would look off an initial read and go to Andrews or somebody on a check down or a curl route, and a post was open. Zay Flowers was running down the field wide open on a couple different plays that I saw where Lamar went somewhere else, or Lamar checked it down, but Bateman was open in the middle of the field. And I'm not blaming Lamar. Obviously, there's a lot going on. You have pressure. You're going through your reads. There's a lot to process. He still made a completion and advanced down the field. But I think I can take a lot of confidence from looking at that and being like, oh, Lamar had 2 or 3 open guys to go to, multiple different plays. And that's just a great sign that this offense is really hard to stop. If there's multiple open guys downfield and you can't contain the run game, Nobody's stopping the offense. We're going to only have self-inflicted errors at that point to be able to stop ourselves. And I think that's the position that this offense is in and is working to even build further. So I have a ton of confidence in this offense. I think they're going to get better week after week. We obviously have to stay healthy. We're getting an extensive list early in the season of guys that are banged up already, and none of these are long-term, so that is the great news in all of this, is if we can get through this stretch with a solid record, especially out of these division games, if we can leave this stretch heading into week 6, the London game, 5-0 or 4-1, I think we're in a really, really good position, especially with the other division teams struggling and having kind of an uphill battle. The Bengals are 0-2. Burrow's banged up. He's not practicing really. Is he even going to play? I'm not sure. You got the Browns, who don't look great. They just lost Nick Chubb. They have a great defense, but their offense is going to struggle, I think. You have the Steelers offense, who's really struggling. They have no run game. They're one-dimensional in the pass game. Also, they do have a great defense, but I'm just saying there's so many struggling teams in the AFC overall in general. So the Ravens are in a great position if we can just get through this, and our schedule's set up to do so. We don't have a daunting schedule here. if we can get through this and get a lot of these guys back, we got all these guys coming back off IR, Tyus Bowser, Malik Ham, Keaton Mitchell, Pepe Williams, and then you got Owe, Ronnie Stanley, Linderbaum, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams. So I think we'll be fine. I think we're good, but we definitely can't keep adding to the list. The list is adding up. It seems like every week we lose at least a guy or two. Even if it's just for a few weeks, it sucks when it's adding up and the list is this big. I mean, we're missing, 10 guys. It's like, it's a lot of starters not on the field. So not ideal, like I said, but I do have confidence that we can get through this. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you freaking out? Are you panicking yet? Or do you kind of feel like where I'm at, where I'm worried? It's not ideal, but I think that we can get through this schedule and still have a solid record and still be in a good position overall to get a lot of these guys back and then really make that run and really ramp up and, see what this peak 2023 Baltimore Ravens team looks like, because we definitely haven't peaked. Not even close. The offense has a long way to go. The defense has a long way to go. This team in week 3 right now, as it stands, is definitely not the same team that we're going to see in week 15, trying to get that playoff spot and make a run towards the Super Bowl. It's going to be totally different. Hopefully we get a lot of guys back and we can stay healthy. It might be a pipe dream. I know. We've been for years now. It just seems like year after year, it's just teams just full of a bunch of guys who are getting injured. I feel you. I'm there. I'm not panicking yet, though. I think we'll be all right. I'll have a game preview episode tomorrow of the Colts and Ravens matchup. We'll dive into a more detailed look at what's going on both sides of the ball like we usually do. And then I'll go live after the game on Sunday for the post-game thoughts. So make sure you guys tune in for that if you're available. But as always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.